All right. Hi, this is Dan Henk, and welcome to another edition of Skull Sessions. And today I have two guests at the same time. I have Lawrence and Christopher. So, what's up, guys? Tell me what you got going on.
Well, hey, Dan, it's great to be here. Thanks for inviting us on. We've been working on a science fiction adventure series that Chris pitched to me. What was it, Chris? About 6 years ago, 7 years ago,
Yeah,
and
time's flying.
yeah, and we've been along for the ride ever since. The book is titled Minutemen: Execute and Run. And it's science fiction, but it has elements of body horror in it. So it kind of crosses the genre lines. But it is out in EPUB and in print from Sazek Science Fiction and Fantasy, and it is also out in audiobook from Tantor Media. So we're pretty excited about it. We're looking forward to talking about it. And Chris, what have I forgotten?
No, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's a great story that Larry and I have been collaborating on, and it's going very well. We have a lot we want to do with it, a lot of different platforms we want to be on with the media, as far as different tentacles, I guess you could say, from the graphic novel to the novel, hopefully to the animation series, the TV, television series, film. I mean, there's a gaming platform. There's a lot of things we want to do with this.
You see, we're here together, but we're bi-coastal. I mean, Chris is on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. I am primarily a writer for print media, and Chris is out there working with producers. So we've got the both bases covered, or all bases covered, as we like to say. So we're looking forward to seeing the Minutemen story grow from the books that are out now. The book that is out now, and move forward into other kinds of media.
Where are you on the East Coast?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
We're in P is a giant state.
It's a giant state, yeah. I'm on the western end of Pennsylvania, and I'm looking out right now at a forest mountain. We've got some snow falling here, but it's a beautiful, absolutely beautiful Pennsylvania winter here, and so this is where I do my writing.
I lived in Philly, which there's a lot going on, but it's like not really easy to write there because there's so much going on. And then I lived in basically Strasburg, Lords Valley.
Yeah, well, Chris and I grew up. Actually, I grew up because I'm the older brother, so I spent more time there. But Chris and I grew up in Philadelphia. And then our father moved us out. Our mother and father moved us out back to Pittsburgh, which is where we were originally from. And then we kind of went our ways from there. I ended up in Chicago for a while. Chris went to New York and started working for the fashion design industry. And now I'm back here, and Chris is in LA.
Okay. So are you the writer and Chris is more the pitch idea guy, and you collaborated on that?
Sounds like a pretty good way to describe it. Chris came up with the IP and ran it by me a few years back. I said, "You've got to let me in on this. This is a great concept." And basically the concept is that we've got these characters who have been wounded in the most dangerous places on earth. They've gone there to try to make a difference, but they come home broken and they come home forgotten. But they get a second chance by a medical firm that gives them their strength back, but there are some unanticipated side effects. They can now channel all their bodily power to generate 60 seconds of superpower. And after those superpowers burn out, they are down for the count.
Wow.
So it's kind of a story of teamwork. These are not superheroes that can go forever with their powers. These are superheroes that can go for about 60 seconds, hence the title Minutemen, and then they are vulnerable and need to be protected by the other characters in the team. And when Chris pitched this idea to me, I said, "Chris, you got to let me in. We got to work on this together." And that's what we've been doing ever since.
It sounds a little bit like one of my favorite sci-fi books, Old Man's War. Have you read that?
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I mean, it's definitely it's not a ripoff by any means. Like it sounds like a whole bunch of different stuff going, but it comes the same vibe, and they're one thing, and they get resurrected as something stronger.
Old Man's War? Is that what you said? Old Man?
Yeah.
Old.
John
Okay.
Scalzi, Old Man's War. Or Joe Scalzi. It's really good.
Okay. Purposely, I don't read a lot of those or watch some of these films because I don't want to pollute my thoughts, my process. It's everyone's got their way of doing things. But the whole story about this ensemble of you know of the team, they all the vulnerabilities they have to really rely on each other. They've got to support each other and help each other out of difficult times. But just like any group of people from different backgrounds, they butt heads a little bit and flirt a little bit with each. These type of dynamics of a person's personality. It's kind of cool to see.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like what you have going on is nearly the same thing. Just it was kind of in that vein, and I was like, if you appreciate one, it's what I often do in my podcast. I'm like, so if this is like a big name thing that you know of that you appreciate, you will also appreciate this. It's not a
Yeah.
copy or rip off, but it's like in that vein. So if you appreciate the way that this rolled, that you might appreciate the way this rolled. So
Yeah.
definitely for fans of like Old Man's War, I would say it sounds like this is like along the same kind of vibe.
It's it's in that it's on the spectrum. But
On
there's
this
a lot. Yeah,
spectrum.
there's a lot of stuff in here that of course, once you get into a book, once you get the concept developing and the characters are playing, we are taking people to some very exciting and very new places. And so definitely people who like that genre are going to find themselves at home, but they're also going to find a lot of really cool surprises. We're really hoping that people check it out and enjoy it. Come along for the ride with us.
Okay. So if you're mainly the writer, like it sounds like you're the one that actually put the text to paper. So do you have other stuff? Like, is that what you do as a job? Mostly, you write like other stuff, and you decided to participate in this as well.
Yeah, I've been at this for a while. I got into this in the '80s, and I like your hat, by the way. You have a Twilight Zone hat on. Back in the '80s, I was writing stories for Twilight Zone magazine, Rod Serling's Twilight Zone,
Right.
and Amazing Stories magazine. And I have my stories have appeared in Year's Best Horror and in fantasy and science fiction. I've got a new, very Twilight Zone style story coming out in Asimov's magazine. And so I have been working this vein for quite a while. I also worked with Mick Garris and David Slade on the horror film Nightmare Cinema. I was a co-writer on that, and people can catch that on Amazon Prime and on Shudder. So yeah, I've got a lot of stuff out there. And Minutemen is just the big thing that I've got right now. As a matter of fact, the book came out in October. Audiobook came out in November. We're taping this right after Thanksgiving, and the audiobook came out the day before Thanksgiving. And so right now, Chris and I are going back and forth on book 2, throwing ideas around, and I'm pretty deeply into it and looking forward to, in the next 4 or 5 months, putting book 2 to bed so that we can start brainstorming book 3. We really do hope this is going to continue as a viable series. There's a lot of stuff we want to tell.
Okay.
It's a big story, right?
It sounds like you have a lot going on with this. You said you have a lot planned, like as far as like you mentioned all these different venues, like video games and all sorts of streaming services and all like that. Do you have like a plan, or that's just like alternate stuff that's a possibility?
Yeah, this is
Well,
Chris's area.
yes, we're laying down the path for all this right now. We got some great people we are working with that we hope are going to continue opening up these doors and opening the path for us. We've got discussions going on with the film and what we want to do, and the people we're working with, we have complete trust in. But we're just, it's a funny town, this LA. It's very interesting. We don't necessarily, Larry and I, we've kind of created the story, kind of came back from it a little bit, revamped it a little bit. It can be shot. It doesn't have to be shot, at a studio. It could be. Doesn't have to be shot in Afghanistan. But I mean, there's scenes that we've changed up on it, so we can keep it within a budget realm too.
Yeah, Chris mentions Afghanistan. There is a portion of the story that takes place in the Middle East, and so in many ways, it is a story that takes place in our time that moves a little bit forward. We like to think that it takes place the day after tomorrow. So a lot of the things that are in motion now are still in motion in the future. But we're not that far in the future. We're just a little bit ahead of where we are now. And we've introduced this new concept into it with this band of people who have these new abilities. So, it's very near future, science fiction, dark fantasy.
Maybe you could Mark Wahlberg in there, do like a Soul Survivor sort of like angle on the Afghanistan part. But that was a joke, but I mean, I guess it's a possibility.
Yeah. Yeah. We also have, I spoke to the people in the UK this morning. We're trying to work out something there with hopefully an animation series that we can put together too. And so the trick is, my ideal goal was to hold on to the IP and make sure we control this, make sure that Larry and I are like at the helm, making sure that this will unfold the way we want it to unfold. I've been speaking to some people this past week. There's other ways around it about how to go about selling or your IP, but not really selling it, holding on to some of the control over it. So I had a meeting earlier this week with these folks, and I have not gone back to our team that we have already in place. I want to talk to them about that too. But there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat, as they say, right? I mean, so we're just trying to find the right path.
Yeah, Chris is a graphic artist. I don't think he's mentioned that yet, but if you take a look, people who are watching the video, they can see my cup here. This is a Minuteman coffee cup that
cool.
Chris designed. And you've also designed shirts and a whole lot of swag, haven't you, Chris?
Shirts, we got the swag, we got and as you see a little earlier this morning, I was doing some writing and doing some graphic novel cells and things, but yes, we have a whole swag store. We want to, merchandise and things like that. We want to have a line of different items that people can purchase for collectibles and so on, figurines and things. I mean, this genre does lend itself very much to that type of thing.
And Dan, a moment ago you mentioned gaming, and gaming is a part of the story itself. These characters are being helped out by a software designer who puts various mission plans in front of a hive mind of gamers. And these gamers play a video game that is based on the mission that the Minutemen are going to be going out on. And then based on the results of those video games, they're able to feed these probabilities back to the Minuteman team and say, look, if you guys do this, this, and this, you've got a 78% chance of getting through. If you do this, this, and this, you might very well die. So we have the game concept, which Chris is talking about as a possible spin-off, is already very much part of the novel.
Are you thinking a little bit like have you seen Ender's Game or Red Ender's Game?
It is like this interface between the physical world and the virtual world.
Right.
And this is an aspect that we really have developed quite fully in the novel. As a matter of fact, there is one character, or getting back to the character who is the game designer. He actually is in a kind of a virtual romantic relationship with the character who is helping the Minutemen coordinate their missions. And he lives halfway around the world in India, and she is in upstate New York. And they have never met physically. They only know each other through these virtual platforms that they visit together. And so not only is gaming, which is very much a part of our life today, in the 2020s, but virtual platforms and virtual relationships are also another aspect that we're exploring in this book. So again, when I say it takes place the day after tomorrow, you mentioned Ender's Game, which takes place very much farther in the future.
Right.
But what we are trying to do is anchor the elements of speculative science fiction that take place in this story anchor them very much to the world that you and I are living in right this moment, and imagining what might it be like, what might be the benefits and what might be the nightmares moving forward just a little bit in time.
I feel like that's kind of like the way things are progressing now. Like you have people in totally different countries that meet via video game playing, and like actually I'm a tattoo artist, and the shop I work at, the counter girl met her husband as they were both playing video games. She's from the Netherlands, he's from here. And so they met, they got married, they're a happy couple now. But it's like, yeah, I think a lot of people are meeting in that virtual world now.
And you know what's exciting about what you do as a tattoo artist is that is one of the last remaining art forms that you got to get together for, right? Now, I imagine there's somebody who's working on this virtual tattoo thing where you could actually buy some kind of version of a 3D printer, put your arm in it, and then a guy. Does that exist?
Yeah. Well, that's part of all the time, like in Starship Troopers when they all have the robot tattoo on. But there's actually a lot to tattooing that people don't realize, because skin is not like paper. It goes over all sorts of bumps. Like some areas are softer, some areas are more sunken. So there's a lot of stuff that you have to deal with. It's like humanity related. This like not just a piece of paper. There's also what holds up better, and also I don't want to keep you here all day, because I could be here all day telling you all the details about it. But yeah, it's like I think that for a while is gonna hold off the the CGI whatever experience. But I know that a lot of people, because I do a lot of art for like books and magazines, and whenever people get like an AI cover, everyone else calls them out. So that's a big thing. It's like, don't use AI. And it's even worse when people use AI to write stuff. Because like it never has quite that feel to it. Like, because I do a lot of art, whenever I look at art, I can kind of tell, was that done by a person or not? And I write as well. And you've been writing way longer than I have. And I'm sure when you see something, you're like, that does not sound like the way a human would phrase it.
Yeah, right. And not only that, on that end, on the reader's end, the reader isn't being fulfilled. The reader is reading something and it just falls flat because it doesn't have any soul. But on our end, as the artists, there's a lot of joy in creating this stuff. Why would I want to take a shortcut? I've spent my life learning how to write this stuff. I really like it. I like getting into the zone and existing in a story. Well, why would I want to let some kind of artificial intelligence do that? Have that joy for me? Well, isn't even capable of experiencing joy, as far as I know.
Well, people also have that like library reserve that they built up of all their like life experiences, and those obviously feed into what they write. So, you're going to get unique perspectives that computers would just not have.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I like to say about all this is everything that is involved with this is from life experiences. Anything we do in a creative way, art, writing, whatever it is. I have a funny story where someone came in and saw one of my paintings one time, and I was younger, but they said, hey, Chris, how long did it take you to paint? And I didn't mean to be flippant, but I said, I looked at them, looked at the painting, I said, 27 years. Because that's it. Life experience, No,
it's true, yeah. Generally when I do I do paintings at about 11 by 17 size. Like originally I was going to be a comic artist, so I just kept that size because that's the size they do comic pages at. But an oil painting at that size takes me like 40 hours.
Right.
And like you rework it and you rethink it. And a lot of yourself goes into it.
And that's the reason why, as we have already explained, when I first wrote my version of this story and put it all down and started doing the drawings, one thing Larry and I talk and joke about, it's painful sometimes because you spend, I start early in the morning and I look up and the moon's out. And I was telling Larry, I don't understand this, but I'm enjoying doing what I'm doing. But then I go back down the next day and I read what I saw and I said, that's not what I wanted either. So Larry's a pro at this. No, he's been doing it for a long time. I would say, is this the way this works? This is why I honestly needed Larry with me. And when he said, let's work on this together, I said, absolutely, because I need him. And he, even as you read this story, Execute and Run, how he puts you in the head of the person or one of
The
our
mindset,
characters.
yeah.
You see it from their perspective, their vantage point,
The story is very much an ensemble story. We have, each section of the book is from a different point of view. And that's not to say that it's all in the first person. None of it's in the first person. It's all in the third person, but we're very close to these characters. So it's a very close third person narrative. And
we're close third person. Yeah.
Close third person. And so we are able to, so the book progresses by switching in and out of these perspectives, and we get to see the adventure from through different eyes. And this is a way to advance the adventure, certainly, but also to get to know each of the characters intimately. And what's interesting with when two people look at the same thing, they don't necessarily see the same thing. Experience is always filtered through, our prejudices, our beliefs, our likes, our dislikes. And so this is a great way to tell the story that lets the reader see the adventure from a number of different perspectives, but also gets the reader very close to the characters and very close to the action too. So for a lot of action, there's a lot of action in this story, but there's also a lot of character development as well. And this gets back to when Chris was first pitching the idea to me, and he had all of these sketches of the characters. And he laid the sketches out on the table, and I was looking at these piles of sketches. Each pile represents a character. And I realized very early on, this is a story that's got to be told from a series of points of view. It's going to be an ensemble story, so we can really get to know the characters.
Yeah, I feel like you really need that's where being an experienced writer comes into play, because being an experienced writer really helps bring out the differentiation between different characters. Like, I feel like that's one of Stephen King's strengths. I mean, endings are his weakness, but realistic characters are his strength. So,
Go ahead.
Good.
Yeah. I'm now just going to reference Stephen King, and Larry's got I guess you got a long following in history with Stephen King, right, Larry?
Yeah, and of course, I'm sorry because I missed the question. So what was it again?
What I was just saying. So Stephen King, like his biggest strength as a writer is it makes really realistic characters. Like the dialogue and the people, they just feel like they exist in space. I said he has a little problem with some of his endings, but his characters you can't question his like believability of the characters.
No, he really is remarkable. He's a remarkable writer. And I remember I first came to him in Night Shift. That was the first book of his that I read. And then shortly after that, the book Dead Zone came out. Mm-hmm. And I picked up Dead Zone the day it came out. And
which is also a great movie.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, Cronenberg, wasn't it? Was that David Cronenberg, I think. Yeah, with yeah, that was a good one.
One of his more mainstream movies. Yeah.
That was good. So, but the remarkable thing about the book is, as I remember, if I remember correctly, the remarkable thing was that there is this Wheel of Fortune game in the beginning, right? I'm thinking of the right novel. And this Wheel of Fortune game goes on for what, 40 pages or so, and it's gripping as can be. We're very close to the character. We're very close to the point of view character here. And he is playing this Wheel of Fortune game. And we are in that moment with him. And it is remarkable the way he is able to play that out, to make you feel as if you're part of the scene, make you feel as if you're part of this character. And then after that, we are so invested in this character that when the horror happens, when the really bad stuff starts to happen to him, we feel it. You know, it's almost like it's happening to us personally. So that book came out, and then I met Stephen King briefly shortly thereafter, and this is one of those things where I remember it. Certainly, I'm not sure he remembers it, but he did write in my book, my copy of The Dead Zone. He did write a note congratulating me on my first sale to Amazing Stories magazine, which
That's
I thought was
awesome.
very, very generous. I
Yeah,
still
that's
have
awesome.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm old, so I remember all that stuff, like the amazing stories and all that stuff. But all right, so let's talk about the book for a minute. You said this like close third person. Like I kind of feel like first person is kind of like the shaky cam of writing. Like it could work, but often it doesn't.
Yeah, you say, what is the shaky cam of writing? First person?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's why we don't have any first person in it at all. It's all from the third person. But each time we shift to a different character, and of course, we don't do this within a scene, naturally. I mean, all the scenes are devoted to one character. But when we shift to a character in the third person, we're not only getting their perspective, but we're kind of getting the rhythm of their language too. I endeavored to alter the style of the writing just enough, not to call attention to itself, but enough so that we actually feel as if we are in the writer's head. And I like what you said about the first person being the shaky cam of writing. You're right. Because we're along for the ride, all the bumps and jolts
right.
notwithstanding. Yeah, so
Maybe the hidden narcissism or whatever's going on. I mean, the
yeah,
problem is if you're stuck in that person's head and they're not a good person.
that's right. You know, and I love that term shaky cam. That was Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi came up with that when he was making The Evil Dead, right? That's when he and his friend grabbed that big board, strapped the camera to the middle, and ran, right? Oh, that's brilliant. That's the kind of I love that kind. That's the kind of filmmaking you don't get with AI. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Handmade filmmaking.
I love Evil Dead. I'm a big fan. I mean, if you look at my knuckles, I have Evil Dead on my knuckles. That's been there for like 25 years. But, all right, so I don't want to keep you here all night, but I have a couple more questions about your book and how they can get a hold of you. So, what are you doing as far as line spacing and what are you doing as far as font size?
And I didn't get that. Chris, could you take that while
Line spacing and font size. I think, Larry, what is that, about 10.1?
That is Sazek Science Fiction brought it out. They are they're the science fiction fantasy subsidiary imprint of Arc Manor Books. They did all of that for us, and they did a remarkable job. Now, Chris has a great printing background and graphic arts background, and Chris could have probably laid out the book. Chris, you've certainly laid out brochures and books in,
we've laid out books,
numbers,
yeah.
But fortunately we didn't have to worry about that. And, when you go with a publisher, you are at their mercy, and yet you're also potentially there to benefit from their expertise. And we were very fortunate to team up with Sazek Science Fiction, because not only did they give us an amazing cover, and you can pop that right up on screen and let people see that. Not only did they give us that, but they also did give us a really fine layout, and one that really supports the multiple the multiple perspectives that we have going throughout the book. It's very clean design. I love it.
Okay, awesome. And if people want to check this out, you said it's already available in audiobook and in paperback.
It's available,
right.
Yep, audiobook, paperback, and ebook.
And pretty much anywhere fine books are sold, like
and wherever they're sold, Amazon. Interesting thing with the day the book came out, we have this newsletter where we have a terrific, very enthusiastic following for the book. And so the day the book came out, the subscribers of our newsletter went and purchased the book, and Amazon ran out of copies.
Oh, awesome.
So,
Yeah, that's great.
So,
Yeah.
and it took a while. It took a while for them to get it back in stock. But fortunately, Amazon has lots of copies now, lots of print copies. And of course, they have unlimited number of audio, which is also available on Audible, and unlimited copies of the EPUB. But certainly they can get it at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Thrift Books, Books A Million, wherever fine books are sold.
Wherever fine books are sold, and if it's not, ask for it then. Okay,
right.
Let's get it in there.
Definitely helps. And to make a comment to the all the watchers, leave reviews. Reviews really help book sales. So, all right, last thing. How can people get a hold of you? Do you have a website, or the publisher's website? How would they look this up?
Yeah, we've got Chris and I have a newsletter out on Substack, and I really hope people will check that out. That is at that's CON, com, COM, dot Substack entertainment, right? Entertainment dot Substack.com. And that is our newsletter. They can find me at LawrenceCConnelly.com. That's my website, and I have a lot of Minuteman stuff up there. Chris, we both have Instagram. We both have Facebook. And Chris, you are also working with some very talented people developing a TikTok presence. I don't know if
we're working with that right now. Larry, actually, I had another discussion meeting with that this morning too on another phone call that I had. And we went on Zoom, so we're working on that. So as we say, we're trying to build this. We want it to be a completely packaged franchise with many different avenues to unfold.
Yeah, I feel like TikTok is what all the kids are on now. Like, yes. For a while it was like Threads, and there was this and there was that. But I feel like right now it's TikTok.
Yeah, and that's funny. I'm sure we're all hearing it, but even Hollywood's really focusing on that right now. The 3-minute,
they got
posted up, put up on this TikTok. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, so do you guys have anything else you want to throw there to the social sphere?
No, this has been great. It's so great talking to you, Dan. It's thanks for inviting us on, and thanks for having us here and spreading the word about Minutemen, Execute and Run. We hope everybody will go run out and check it out, and subscribe to the newsletter and let us know what you think. And thanks, Sue, for reminding people to leave reviews. We really do. All of us here, you and me and Chris, we live and breathe by reviews. So we've got to get those.
That's true. Sure. Well, I think everybody in my audience is like kind of stripped out, so people should definitely check it out. And you definitely sound like you have some credentials with some publications we all love back in the day. So I appreciate that as well. So definitely go buy this, check us out, check out his website. And with that, thank you very much for being on here, and I appreciate you being.
Thanks so much, Dan.
Appreciate it.